No, eso ya no existe, amor. Eso solamente por allá por Xochimilco todavía usan cámaras con blanco y negro nada más. Sí, amor.
Chris Opel, walk out of California, Chris Opel, in the left lane here in the power lane, will be there in Illinois. Once again, ET Racers, we need you to lanes 2 and 3. ET Racers lanes 2 and 3. Now, bikes, if you don't have the dial-ins on your bike, see Alan here in the tower. Three-stage rule is in effect. Brother Curtis, three-stage rule is in effect. Going into the right lane, 889 with a 0, but he's too quick. He breaks up by 1/100th of a second. 895 with a 4. Your winner will be in the left lane. Contreras goes too quick on the 890 index. Well, here's a guy that they have been all hunting for. The current leader for this category, Rod Hartzell. Rod Hartzell in the Raritan Dragster. And a new guy on the street. On the scene, here's the car out of Petaluma, California, the Roadster here. And getting the unenviable task of racing Hartzell in round number 1. Dave Mastery. So Rod Hartzell will go at least cars. Oh boy, I'll tell you, the guy in the left lane, I don't think his feet has touched the ground yet. This is Mike McBrayer. He won the California Nationals at Sears Point Raceway 2 weeks ago. And he'll be taking on the Camaro of John Fields, Fields and Company. So if you like door slamming, you certainly must go with the guy here in the right lane. But if you're a nostalgia buff, you like the front engine cars, then you have to go with Mike McBrayer. And I'll tell you, he's been on a roll lately. He'll be tough to get rid of in the first round. But if anybody can seal him out, John Fields and Company certainly can. Once again, ET cars, we'd like to have you in the lanes, please. Lanes 2 and 3, and again, bikes, if we can't see your dial-ins on the bike, then you need to see Alan up here so we can get you on the sheet. No dial-ins, no running. Short wheelbase running. So Jim Shield with the road picks up very high. Now, the state of charge rear engine car here in the Charlotte, all the way from Thanksgiving, California, the only lady driver in this field. Her name is Geneva Nash. The car is a 1989 Ron Fry chassis, uses a block Chevrolet. She has one here at Sacramento Raceway, and when this lady is dialed into the track, she is tough as nails. So Jim Shield having his work cut out for him, the lady driver of the Gambler car out of Viceria, Shield from Concord, California, driving the injected Roadster. So final call for all ET cars should be in the lanes 2, 3, 4, and 5. ET cars lanes 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mike, out in front of Mike. Advantage Dodson, 94, New York in Caution Line, 80 and Dodson making it over 1,000 feet. Mike and 10. 10 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 and 10. 10
antes de que...
Sin moverla. Ya le tomo, espérame, ahorita que se va.
hasta que salga la letra, ¿ok? Ahora sí.
And the bike over the left lane dialed at 942. So the car will get the head start, the bike will have to get... miles per hour. You would have broke out anyway. Tower side taking the win on that last one. Now, the little rock star out of Woodland, this is 64 and a half Mustang in Carl Eagle, one of the regulars up at my track in Orville. He was pulled out for the bias. He still happens. Didn't have another car running. So he got a little break here. He's having some shifting problems. And the stock transmission is already broken. This is a rerun. Gabriolo, the engine builder, watching his buddy Reed Christensen, and the owner of the car in the left lane, Don Seals, who is one of the best transmission builders in this town, from what I hear. And this is a rerun from that first round of the Super Top Eliminator.
Amor. Todo eso en vez de esa mejor de esa manera gasta el dinero de para sus deportes. Ajá. Ahorita nos vamos a ir caminando. Lo que sucede es que su hijo yo creo se quiere subir ahí también. No sé si ya ves. Sí, ya ves. Él es el grande, él es el que es demasiado chiquito, es el que es un travieso. Yo me acuerdo cuando ella estaba embarazada y también sabes que tenía ya como 8 meses y iba a las carreras todavía. Y embarazada y siempre lo siguen a mamá. Siempre lo sigue su papá, su mamá, su esposa y a veces más amistades, pero son te digo, todos así de que se juntan. Ajá. Sí, él me dice.
No, that's not right. How long has Bonnie been not speaking to you? Mr. Cough went running. Uh-oh. Well, that does present problems. Okay, speaking of lady drivers, Leroy, we've got one over here on the left lane driving the Ford Maverick. Rosie, out of Union City, California, 1858 dial-in. It's a 6-cylinder Ford Maverick. And now here in the tower lane with a 1645 dial-in, this is the current. We bring him back to you twice. Okay, Bob's driver now. So, Jim Houston, we're going to do in here 1543 of Steve Daldino puts himself out of the program with a red light. Ladies and gentlemen, as we go back into Super Cup, these are your 890 index cars. The current point leader for this category over in the left lane, Rod Hartzell. Hartzell out of Modesto, California. He will be facing the Gambler car, the lady driver, Geneva Nash from Visalia. film doing a Magnum cigarette promotion in the red tent for adults 21 years of age and older. Free cigarettes and free prizes. From car stereos, handbags, radios, t-shirts, hats, and a lot more. And we've already seen some of their products, and let me tell you, hey, first class all the way.
Yeah, we got to try to do that.
Why are you coming and bring you a rug? I had 3 extra rolls.
Tabor Dry Club, you should be hauled back. Tabor Dry Club, you should be free.
Mira, todo lo que tienen que hacer, acomodarlo bien. Ve cómo enderezan en parejas las 4 riendas, mira, las distribuyen. Y atrás lo doblan únicamente para que cuando salga parejo, se vuelva de adentro de la bolsa, parejo hacia afuera. De otra manera, a veces se enreda y no sale. Y ahorita nada más estoy grabando. Pero tú querías ver, ahora mira, eso del último, lo amarillo, ese resorte que impulsa eso hacia afuera. Ve ahora cómo lo van a ir doblando. Mira. Me voy a ir acercando un poco. Se hicieron a un lado para dejar pasar al señor este.
Okay, the number 5 car in the entire world last year here in the Tower Lane. Loser Wayne and Sons. This time it's Chris Wayne, a little wheelie.
Este tipo de carro es uno de esos donde está preparado así.
Mixed emotions about this race. You know the engines for both of these cars. His daughter appears as the driver for the red car. Great team. So here we are, 890. If you like to watch Northland, they're quick. If you like this category.
Te das cuenta cómo tiene
Yeah.
What happened to Jeffy? Ahí va este Bill. Allá viene. ¿Sabes que ya está su camioneta está bien descolorida? Ajá. Ajá. Mira, ahí va todavía su hijo. Pero ¿sabes qué pasó? La que no, él no me la prestó, me la prestó otro muchacho. Pero
Two cars in the parade will be the delayed fuel orders. We have some top fuel cars, top gas, you know, our featured cars of the evening. And racing delayed fuel orders for 20. Division Director. The crew consists of Max Pike, Susie, son Shane, and Bruce Vickerman.
To the 1320. You're going to love this. This is Ray Higley. He's out of San Marcos. Limitation is that they must run on gasoline for their fuel. Any chassis or body style is allowed. No displacement limit. In other words, they can run any cubic inch motors that they would like. Superchargers are allowed. Nitrous oxide also allowed. Multi-engines also allowed in the class. Mission sponsored car coming up next. Can't find a car. The other gentleman. Sorry about that, folks. And
amor, a ver, sácame tu lengüita.
have a tech card on him either, so we'll just kind of let you take a look at him, and we'll remind you a little bit that some of you that are not familiar is they put the pedal down on the starting line and they don't lift till they cross the finish line. Right, gang? That's the way to do it. Now, this car here, the disruption car of Scott Hooper, this youngster was out last night. He's out of Woodland Hills, California. He came up a little bit early. He's got a Donovan with 615 cubic inches setting inside of that 89 rear engine dragster. And he ran some awesome times last night. He came off the trailer with a 702, cut a perfect light of 400, and ran 192 miles per hour. First time down the track. Then he went back. That was one of his other exhibition cars. He's been doing jets for quite a while. He's been involved in drag racing for decades, driving everything, every type of race car from any...
Yeah, it's called sales pitch.
Oh, yeah. Work up the audio.
Yeah.
George Hadebeck and Jerry Siegel, involved in jet dragster racing for many years. They've built most of the jet cars that you see across the United States. They tour the United States, they build these cars, they sell these cars to others, they race the same cars they build. They hold records at numerous tracks all across the country. Jerry, the driver, who you see seated in the car, is 31 years old, and he recently won the annual spec. And like we were saying, they have run 571, and 287 miles per hour has been their fastest pass. And those folks that you see that are here tonight, a little bit later, the Hot Streak, Bill Carter's Hot Streak. This car's been around for several years. Carter's been campaigning it for a long time, and Hayden Proffitt used to campaign this car as well. It's a J34 Westinghouse. They had some problems on the road, and they put on a tremendous show. They're here all the time. Ron Hoover Racing Enterprises, established in 1984 with the purchase of the Shake and Bake Jet Car Dragster, which Ron Hoover is the owner and driver. Hoover's racing career began in Hawaii in 1973, and I guess you don't want to hear any more about that as Bob Bucker rolls across the line, and I guess the crowd sent him a ship to our local boy, the Folsom Flash Love Chevrolet West Coast chassis sponsored car. Well, I'll tell you, one of my favorite, I got to say that, and I'm sure the crowd's favorite too. Bob and Dixie Bunker and Bobby Jr., they've been doing...
198541 inch Chevrolet. Weight of this car about 1,300 pounds. Fuller, air engineering, along with Birmingham. Larry Fuller from Covina, California, in the second race, Bill Harbaugh, who qualified number 2 in the 718. Larry Fuller qualified number 5, top of the 769. So right now, John Lewis to win this one will be Bill Harbaugh in the white car, but you can never count on anything in drag racing, because any driver will tell you there is no such thing as a sure thing. Now a Thunderbolt car.
Go ahead. Thank you.
We need the brackets. If you're not there, we need you there. They are around the corner at this point. When I left, there were several of them. As soon as these jets go off, go ahead and bring them around right here. All right. And Journey 2 on stock side. They have a 3-car already. Al Arrieta, over the left lane. Here's the problems on the first pass. Something happened with the car.
난 이제 전과 다르다니까. 너 지금 우리 집안 분위기 돌아가는 거 보면 내가 아들 노릇 잘해야겠다는 생각 안 드냐? 주유소 아르바이트 갖고는 어림도 없어. 제대로 된 직장 잡을 때까지 한번 해보려고. 그리고 나중에 내가 그만둘 때는 다른 사람이 들어오면서 권리금 그냥 찾아오면 돼. 한번 믿어봐.
이건 믿고 안 믿고의 문제가 아니야. 너무 힘든 일이야. 아니 어떻게
Rubber across the line. Rudy Loves over the left lane. He gets out of the box. Doesn't go across the starting line. Does his burn out behind the starting line and rolls the line with a hot tire. Those racers periodically have a set of hot tires to grip the track when they leave the starting line. One elected to put a passive rubber on the ground to run on. The other one did not. Everybody does it a little different. And like Jim was saying a moment ago, repetition and making it identical at the same time.
Qué velocidad alcanza. Sí. Ya está formando. Ahora permíteme un
just about ready to spill.
This is the same Top Gas West when the Williams ran in and all that stuff. Okay, not too much of this. But there are very few sixes that run competitions every time. Vickerman, and special guests tonight are Mac's in-laws, Jane and Red Schwartz, and they're from Eureka, California. The fastest time they run
¿Va a volver a salir algo?
Sí, vamos a
Capper
ver.
in the Henry J. Leaves a little bit early
No,
with a 3.
no.